Well, when I make videos with a laser engraver and printer, people are always asking me what speed and power I'm using the laser at for this or that job. Well, today we're going to look at a tool that lets us make adjustments for different materials, and it's something we absolutely have to do with our own machine. Because each machine, even if the laser power and speed are the same, shows differences when we compare it to another machine. That's why it's so important to have our own cutting and engraving guides. Well, cutting guides help us avoid using more power than necessary or too little, which could result in an incomplete cut. And the same goes for engraving if we want one shade or another. Today I'm going to make the templates with the Ortur R2, a machine. This little machine is quite respectable and has two heads. One is a conventional optical UV laser, 20 watts, for general use on wood, leather, ceramics, painted metals, and stainless steel. And it also has another head, infrared, for all types of metals. We're going to make the test templates with Liebun, the most commonly used program, which already has a tool for this job. All right, let's turn on the machine. On this engraver, the Ortur in particular has two settings because the sizes of the laser modules are different, and therefore the working area is also different for each one. Since I'm going to use the 20-watt laser for this demonstration, let's choose that setting. Now I also adjust the machine because it has a guide for this setup with this type of module. Here you can see on the side it has marks for 10 watts, 20 watts, and also for the IR module. The tool we need in Liebun is on this page. In the Laser Tool tab, click Material Test, and this window opens. First, we title it by clicking the engraving icon. In this case, I'm going to make a template for cutting MDF, and I add the name of the machine because I have other machines and I don't want to get confused. I indicate that it's for cutting and for a 20-watt laser. As you can see in this window, there are two columns. One is speed and the other is power. Above each one of these, there's the sample number that the template will have. By default, it's set to 10, but I usually do fewer. I do 5 on each side. So let's change the 10 and let's put 5 in each one. And now I'm going to adjust the speed. If I'm going to cut MDF, I'll need a low speed between 250 and 800 more or less. We're going to leave the height as it is at 5 millimeters. And now let's move on to power. For cutting, we need quite a bit. So we'll try from 50% up to 100% of the laser's power. All right, once this is done, let's go to where it says Edit Material Setting. In this case, since it's cutting, we're going to choose Line and number of passes. We click OK, and we move on to Text Editing, which is what will be engraved on the test board. Here we just eyeball it more or less. Speed 1,500, power 20% fill, and 1 pass. We click OK. And now we click the engraving option so that these values we've chosen get engraved. We place the material in the machine. In this case, the Ortur. It comes with 4 triangular rods as supports. So, on those rods, we are going to place the material to be tested, the 3mm MDF. Thank you. We adjust the laser focus and we press frame to establish the place where the test will be done. Once that's done, we press start. right. After a little while, we have the template finished. Look, here I have it with the speeds and power. We see that at a speed of 250 starting from 62.5 power, it already cuts the material. But, well, we know that to cut MDF, a speed of 250 and a power slightly higher than those 62.5 will be necessary to be safer. We can set it to 75. All right. For engraving, we're going to do the same as before with the same tool, but in this case, we're going to set a minimum speed of 1,000 and a maximum of 5,000. And for the laser power, we're going to choose between 10% and 50%. In material editing, we select fill because we want it to be filled. After that, we engrave, place the material, adjust it with the frame, and press start. All right, here I already have the finished template, and we have the different engraving shades depending on the power and speed. We can see that there are grid squares that got burned too much. Those speed and power settings aren't ones we should use. But yes, speeds, for example, above 3,000 with those power settings we chose, right? Well, this way we can check all the materials we're going to work with, and have templates for each one. With the IR laser, we can also do the same thing on different metals. Here you see this done on a food can, right? Well, that's all for today. I hope this tutorial is useful for you, since these practices are very important to avoid ruining your work, right? So if you found it useful, if you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to get notifications when I upload new material. Thank you so much for watching the video, and see you next time, God willing.